This is Alabama Politics with Steve Flowers, an in-depth interview with Alabama's top political newsmakers. Now, from the studios of Troy University, here is Steve Flowers.
I'm Steve Flowers, and welcome to Alabama Politics. Folks, we're fortunate tonight to have two of my favorite folks in Montgomery, Loretta Grant and Sam Adams. They are the owners and publishers of a very, very popular newspaper in our area of the state called the Alabama Gazette. Loretta, good to have y'all with us. Sam?
Good to see you, Steve.
Great to be here.
I've enjoyed visiting with these folks prior to the show. I've known Sam all of his life. He grew up in Troy. His daddy, if y'all don't know, was Ralph Adams, the famous president of Troy University for 25 years. Actually started this campus here in Montgomery. The building we're sitting in, the Rosa Parks building downtown Montgomery, was founded by Dr. Adams, who was a legendary icon president of the university. Was it close to 30 years maybe?
Just about.
30 years, yeah. And he was the president of Troy when I was in the legislature, and we were close friends. And he, of course, was George Wallace's best friend. But Sam's had a remarkable career of his own. He's a lawyer by profession, and he and his wife Mary have 4 beautiful children. 3 of them are in college now, and Mary's a pharmacist here in Montgomery. But Sam practices law some, develops real estate some, and he owns part interest in the Alabama Gazette. And Loretta started this newspaper, y'all, 16 years ago.
16 years ago, that's right.
They're celebrating their anniversary this month. We're sitting here in the first part of October, and Loretta found this paper, and Loretta, kind of tell folks how you found it. Loretta is from the southern part of the county, folks, in the Raymer, Snowden area. The Grants have been there for generations, and Loretta is a very popular lady here in Montgomery, in the southern part of Montgomery where they have a lot of roots. And she started this paper. Kind of tell the roots of that paper, if you would, Loretta, how you thought about doing it, and how it took off, and just explain the paper to everybody, if you would.
Well, first of all, I'm sort of an entrepreneur. So if you have a dream, you just kind of need to reach your dream. And I just thought there needs to be a different paper. It needs to be a paper that's geared to just everyday, ordinary people. We have other papers in Montgomery and that deal with different issues, but I wanted a paper that would highlight maybe a child that would never be put in one of the major papers, or someone who did something very special that just would never be known. So that was just sort of my idea of the Gazette. So I just went around to a few people and I said, I think I'm going to start a newspaper. And
pretty expensive venture, though, isn't it?
Well, I had no money. So I thought, got to get ads. So I went around and I asked some people if they would like to run an ad in this new newspaper, and we did a handshake, no contracts. I still have people who run in the Gazette 16 years later with a handshake and no contract.
Who are some of the original advertisers in the Gazette?
Well, Pump Repairs was one. Alice Cole and her husband, and he's a Vietnam vet, and they have a little business. Moncrief out of South Montgomery County was one of the original. So anyway, that's just sort of started with an idea, and people said, yeah, we'll run.
When it started out, was it just in South Montgomery County?
It was the County Gazette.
In just Montgomery County?
And yes, but I didn't even say Montgomery County, the County Gazette. Then the Montgomery County Gazette.
16 years ago, what year was that now?
2000.
2000. So you started around 2000 and called it the County Gazette. That's
right.
And most of your advertisements and news were about just South Montgomery County or all Montgomery?
Well, anywhere in Montgomery, but not just South Montgomery, but we took the schools and we began to do special features on all the schools that were in Montgomery County. And of course all of that was free, but we highlighted the different junior highs and high schools within the area. Small businesses, it's really geared to small business. So that's just how we began, and then we just began to get writers. I think I contacted the sheriff's office and said, you got county law, I need it in the paper. And so DT said, well, yeah, I'll do that, Loretta. And so he began his page, and he sent for 16 years, sent a page for the Gazette.
Who all are you writers? I'm in there.
You're in
I'm
there.
the political writer.
Yes, and we're so glad to have you in there.
I love doing it. Who all there? You got Rick Marshall that does religion.
Yeah, does the soul searching page. We've got Rob Tate, who's retired military and is a Delta pilot, and does just some wonderful articles. Sometimes he does historical articles about the war or airplanes, or he did something on the Tuskegee Airmen. So we really have a real gamut of articles. Miss Bobby Ames does a great educational article and much heritage there. She does what our country was founded on, goes back to Plymouth Rock and does all the historical and the foundation of America. So this paper really is a God, family, country paper. That's what I say.
You have sports too?
We have sports. We have Mr. Ed Jones, Coach Ed Jones, who was a coach at Lanier, and he's been with me about 9 years.
Now,
and
who all that? There's some others too. You and Marcia Chambliss.
Marcia Chambliss is with Smart Girl Politics. We have Dr. Chavez out of Birmingham, who is doing that's new, who's doing counseling for youth and families. That's a new, just brand new. He's been in about 4 months.
The thing's about 16 pages every month.
No, 32 pages.
32 pages, yeah.
24 always,
and
then 32 this month.
Okay,
And
every month, first of the month it comes out.
First of the month, first week of the month comes out. Normally, Steve, it's hard to find a copy after the 10th or the 15th. It's hard to find a copy.
Do y'all go, you make Sam go back out and replenish them? He's like
No,
your paper
well,
boy?
we don't have anything to replenish.
Okay, you print it one time. And
We print it one time. We don't pick up 1% of our newspapers. That's phenomenal readership. So,
every one of them are taken by the middle of the month.
that's right. We may have, 20 or 50 left or something. So when our delivery young man goes back out, I say bring any back in that are out there because I want to keep up. And we hardly have none brought back in. So.
Now, Loretta, now tell me this. When did y'all sort of expand out of Montgomery? Because y'all are well-read in Autauga, Elmore, Crenshaw, Pike, Butler now.
Well, Steve, we became the Tri-County Gazette.
I remember, yeah,
Yes.
That's when I came. It was Tri-County when I started.
That's right. So it was
writing.
the Tri-County Gazette, and that's before Sam and I became partners.
Which was the three river region counties, Autauga, Elmore, and Montgomery?
That's correct.
Okay, so it was built around the river region,
Yes,
which is where really the volume my show was watching tonight is in anyway, so it was a Tri-County Gazette.
That's right, and we've delivered into those 3 counties for 16 years. But we expanded because we just had people writing and interested people, and so we expanded to the Tri-County Gazette. And then when Sam came with the Gazette,
what year did he buy in?
2010.
Yeah.
2010. And so we became partners. We were blessed to move our office downtown.
Beautiful office.
Absolutely.
Great
beautiful.
location. That is a beautiful location.
Beautiful.
I think it adds a lot to have that location.
Oh, it absolutely does. And
it may be expensive, but I think it's real worth it.
Well,
we're
going to laugh at that, aren't we? He owns the building.
Oh, okay, we're good. But it's valuable real estate.
It is valuable.
It really
real
is.
estate.
It's because everybody walking by the ball game goes by there. Everything, the biscuits are very popular.
Well, we're 1 block from the Biscuit
Yeah.
Stadium. So we are it's great to have that office. We invite people to stop by, see us. It's all glassed in. Just stop by and say hello. There's a rack out front that you can pick up a free paper. And by the way, we are a free paper. That's because we choose to be a free paper. And Sam and I have discussed that many times about charging for the Gazette. And we just if you want the Gazette, we want you to pick it up, put it under your arm, take it home and read it. Because it is a commentary newspaper. We don't have legals in there. We don't do courthouse stuff. We have great writers, about 16 of the best writers in the state, from all over the state. And we have doctors and judges and lawyers and, great politicians like you that write for the Gazette, and they only write for the Gazette, most of them. Yeah. So they don't even share that, but they research their articles. That's very important. So when my writers send something in, I know that they have researched that, they have cited that where they needed to do that, and so I trust what they send in. Some of them have written for 16 years, some 12, some 10, and they are absolutely committed with that article every month, and they've done their research on what and they, strangely enough, write about just great topics, both national and state and local topics. So,
you know, Loretta, talking about that, I posed this to you one time. We were visiting your office. It's obvious to everybody in this area that the big growth area of our area over the next 10 years is going to be Pike Road.
absolutely.
It's inevitable. Look, I mean, the school thing out there and all, it looks like that's going to probably be the fastest growing town in Alabama in the next 10 years. Have you ever thought about having a niche where you really just had a Pike Road Gazette and really concentrated on that particular town and became its original newspaper? I think they're almost going to have their own identity out there.
They do have their own identity, and we have sort of given them a page because they're doing so many innovative things in Pike Road. And it's a great area. And of course, I live in South Montgomery County, so I enjoy that area, kind of sort of out there. But I certainly would love to do that with the Gazette. The thing about the Gazette is, Sam and I don't have a committee. So if we decide to do something, we just decide to do it. And it's pretty simple. So if we want to grow, if we want to go to another area, and we also publish the Tallahassee Quarterly. And that has become a beautiful, successful publication. We do that to promote the city of Tallahassee. It's nothing but a promotional. It tells all of the events that they're having. It is not only is it included in our newspaper for delivery, it is also delivered throughout the lake area, Alex City, Auburn, all up there. So they want to grow their wonderful town and city, and we want to help them do that. And we now have opened an office up there. I don't guess you know that. We have opened a small office. I think you need a presence if you're going to represent a city. You need a presence there.
What about Lake Martin? Do y'all go up to Lake Martin?
We don't do a lot at Lake Martin. But
I guess
again,
Alex City Outlook does that. They cover that pretty well.
pretty much. And they have good local coverage, Steve. I really don't want to say anything bad about the local coverage they have. It's just we reach such a large area, and if you want to build a city and bring people into your events, like the Tallahassee Now event that's huge every year, then you need to get outside your box, and that's what the Gazette does for Tallahassee.
You've got racks and vendors offering the paper all the way up to there. You go to Wetumpka, don't you?
Yes.
You got a pretty good readership in Wetumpka, don't you?
Yes, we do. And we've delivered there a long time. And into Prattville. And we've actually had a Prattville Gazette at one time, and that was discontinued. But I love Prattville, and you know, that's a great area. We just have a great river region. So we need to let people know that where we live and what we believe and how we feel is just a great way to live in this country.
Sam, go ahead.
And as much as identifying Pike Road, we've also done other specialty newspapers. Last year we did the civil rights issue,
Yes,
and
we
we
did.
delivered over to Selma, Uniontown, and all parts, Lowndes County, Lounsboro, and it got incredibly good response from
Yes.
the population and the citizens there. More recently, you may have seen an issue called The Reflections, and Bill Rice, who's one of our reporters, did a historical piece about Montgomery, and it came out a month or so ago, and it came out with great fanfare and was very well received, to the point where I still get requests for those issues so that they can send them to people who have some great memories of Montgomery. And Bill has indicated that he wants to do another one, and we're going to try to make that an ongoing activity for the paper. And so we have specialty issues as well as our monthly publication, and we also are online.
That's great.
We have, if you go to alabamagazette.com, you can look at past issues online as well as provide input yourself, and we have a nice staple of advertisers there as well. So we're cognizant of a lot of the readership that we have are older, more mature individuals that like the feel of paper. And so we recognize that, but we also recognize that the younger people like to have the immediacy of the internet. And so we use that as an option for them to pick that paper up and respond to it just as quickly. And we're very fortunate. One of the Christmas issue, which is one of my favorites, is one of the things where we give back to the community. Yes. And we give a $1,000 gift out to people in our readership. And what we do is we request that they write a story of need. And we read the information that they send. Some of them are just pull at your heartstrings. Some of them are health related, some of them are financially related, some of them are logistics related. And we get a number of requests every Christmas, and then we respond to that and give individuals a gift for Christmas. And the response we get from that, it makes you cry, recognizing how such a small amount can make a huge impact in somebody's life. And I think we're probably the only entity around here that does that kind of thing, but it shows to us the need of the paper, and it also shows us to the need of the people in our readership area. It's amazing.
Yeah. Let me ask y'all this question. If you had to rank the readership by county, Montgomery obviously be first, and then Elmore and Autauga sort of second and third, would you say?
I would say Elmore second.
Elmore second, Autauga third.
Probably.
Who would be fourth? What county would be fourth, you think? There'd be a drop-off after 1, 2, and 3, wouldn't it?
Probably.
Montgomery, then Autauga, and Elmore.
Well, I think we'd hit Pike County pretty strong.
Would be fourth, you think?
I think Pike County probably would be in there. And we go as far over to Lee County, and we make a sizable distribution to a lot of the shops in there. And because Auburn is a small community with a large campus, the readership there is very interested in what's going on in Montgomery. So we have an impact there as well. So I would probably rank that Crenshaw County too. We deliver heavily in Highland Home and down to Luverne, so that would rank probably in there as well.
Sam, what about you mentioned the online presence? Have you seen that grow a good bit in the last few years?
Oh,
it's
yeah.
grown a bit. Do y'all have a person who does that, in charge of that?
We actually searched and searched for a good website, and sometimes newspapers are such a special niche until regular website companies just did not do a good job for us. So there's an organization out of Washington State that got in touch with us, and they had been actually newspaper owners. And so they have developed this website for us. We have a wonderful website.
Can all your readers be read on there? Like I can be read on
Yeah, the entire paper's on
Okay.
there. And all the ads that appear in the paper, but also every one of our writers are plugged in individually with their articles. So someone can just go read your article with your picture, and they go read that, and then we get a compilation of what has happened, how many readers we've had for each person's article. But we're just excited about our website. It also gives our advertisers free chance to be on the internet because we don't charge for them being in that paper. Because we could separate our articles, but we don't do that. We put the entire paper on there with the ads, and then that's just an extra plus for our advertisers. We have, strangely, Steve, about our advertising rates, they're the same for everybody. So if you call, it's so difficult to just call and know how much it costs to advertise, sometimes in another publication. But you call us and you get the same rate sheet. It doesn't matter if you're a mom and pop or if you are a large franchise. The rate is the rate. And it's simple, and I just think that's the best way to do business.
That's the way you've always done it.
So that's the way I've always done it, yeah. And I like that. Because
did you major in journalism, Loretta?
No, I did not.
Well,
But
you just wanted to start a newspaper.
I just felt the desire to start a newspaper. And but years ago, I had some experience in laying out papers and those kind of things. But I've just thought, if God gives you that energy and that inner voice that says, you need to do this. Well, I've just sort of done that. I've just been able to do that. maybe more than most women.
Has it done more than you thought it would when you first started?
Oh, absolutely.
Did you have any apprehension that it might not make it? Because this day and time they say print newspapers are not, although having said that, the small town and middle-sized papers in the state are doing well. People are reading their local papers.
I never think that I won't make it. Never. You don't start anything thinking you're not going to make it. I guess I'm the eternal optimist, and if you believe in what you do and you believe that that's what you're supposed to be doing, then that's what you do. And you do it with the idea that it will succeed. You know, maybe your competitors don't think you have succeeded to that point, but I don't think my competitors could say that, because we really have grown. All these extra editions that we have done, I was really pleased to do the civil rights issue this year. That just kind of came all of a sudden, and it was from a different perspective. It was a beautiful publication. We printed a lot, but we didn't have near enough. People have come by the office, can I just have one copy? And of course we keep on archives in our office. And I said, okay, just one.
I enjoyed the Reflections.
Reflections was wonderful.
I was in that one. I wrote an article about Lister Hill.
You did?
Bill called me and says, you know, will you write an article about, you know, a separate article about just who you think's the most famous and influential, maybe greatest political figure in Montgomery. I think it unquestionably was Lister Hill. But you know, we're too young to have known him that well, but he really was an icon. He served in the United States Senate over 30 years, and he was such an instrumental national figure who was born and raised right here in Montgomery.
We grew up with that name, though, Steve.
Well, we did, but that's why I wanted people to not forget those names, and that's the reason I wrote this book. My book I've got of Goats and Governors, 6 Decades of Colorful Political History, is Sam's daddy's mentioned in there prominently, and he was such good friends with George Wallace and Lister. I cover Lister Hill. I cover John Sparkman. I cover Howell Heflin. You know, our great icons of political history, and especially, I started writing the book about Big Jim and Wallace because I wanted the stories told, you know. And you know, Sam could have written a very intimate book about Wallace because he grew up. His daddy and George Wallace were best friends. You know that. Wallace had no better friend than Ralph Adams, and then they worked together closely at Troy and things. And but Sam was a good place kicker.
No.
In high school, you know that? He would kick for 40-yard field goals.
I didn't know
routinely
that.
when Charles Henderson High School.
I don't know about that, but getting back to Lister Hill, he still lives on today. You know, they had the Lister Hill Health Center, and his interest was in rural health care. And Health Services, Inc., headquartered here in Montgomery, is the follow-on to that organization.
Should be named that.
And they have 10 or 15 branches for rural health care in eclectic and other areas of central Alabama, and you know, he was a great guy. And
he really was. I've had
amazing fellow.
Had Burnell Mapp on the show,
yeah,
who was just retiring as CEO of Health Services, and I had him on a couple of years ago, and I wanted to get across to people. I don't know if Montgomeryans actually realize what a brilliant person Lister Hill was, and what a great he was in Congress for 15 years for the United States Senate.
Well, when you look at the Depression and how hard it hit during those ages, and people in rural Alabama could not get basic health care, and he saw that need, and he not only did it in Alabama, but he made it a nationwide priority, and it made a big difference in a lot of people's lives.
Almost every rural hospital in Alabama is built with Hill Burton funds.
That's exactly right.
So Lister Hill is essentially the father of almost every rural hospital in Alabama, including the one in Troy. Our hospital is a Hill Burton hospital. Almost every rural hospital in Alabama is a Hill Burton hospital by the Hill Burton Act.
That's an amazing legacy, isn't it?
Well, he learned it from his father, who was a very brilliant physician here. His father was a brilliant surgeon here in Montgomery, and that's what they wanted Lister to do. And he actually, his father studied under the famous Louis Lister, who started the antiseptic. He went to France to study under him. The Hills are very prominent you know, well-endowed family, and their children were able to go to very expensive schools around the world, and so they sent the father to study in France and around the world to be a physician. Came back to Montgomery to practice, and Lister was going to be a physician. He went and watched his father operate one day, and he couldn't stand the sight of blood. He said this in his biography. He says, I knew I was not going to be a physician when I couldn't watch surgery one day. And surgery was probably pretty graphic at that time. And so anyway, he became a great politician. But Sam's the heir to a great political name, and he's had a great career too. What made you get interested in investing in the Gazette? As a business interest, or you just always thought you wanted to have a little interest in the newspaper?
My interest rose out of the Tea Party, and I met Loretta on a horse, believe it or not.
Sam Adams on a horse at the Tea Party.
And I
were y'all out in rural Montgomery County?
No, we were down at the State House.
Oh.
And I thought that I had picked up the Gazette, and I liked the approach that it provided, and it provides a great viewpoint, and it was speaking to me more than some of the other local papers did. And so someone introduced me to Loretta, and at the time she was out east, and as we mentioned before, I had an office downtown, and I bought up the old Siegel Ice House a long time ago, and I converted it into some loft apartments along with some other buildings down there. And the downstairs, I wanted a soft industry there. And I coerced Loretta into joining forces with me, because we have very, very similar viewpoints, and she agreed. And I suggested to her, if we're going to be a political paper in the sense that we're going to cover politics to the depth we are, we need to have a more centralized location near the pulse of the state capitol, and I thought that office would be an ideal location for it. And I was an English major, so my dad said, you're either going to flip hamburgers or go to law school.
Your mama taught English.
No, I know it. I know it.
She was taught at Troy University English.
She may have taught you. I don't know.
I never had Miss Dorothy. I always thought the world over, though, but I never
It's
had
probably
her.
a good thing you didn't.
I know. She been tough.
But no, I went on to law school, and I enjoyed writing, and I enjoy expressing my opinion, and so as a result, Loretta allows me to get involved a little bit, and I've watched the newspaper expand over the last 7 or 8 years, and it's done a phenomenal job, and it touches a lot of people in a lot of positive ways.
Well, I sure enjoy being a part of it. I appreciate y'all letting me be a part of it every month, but our time's up, y'all. It goes by in a hurry, doesn't it?
It really goes by in a hurry.
Yeah, I thank y'all for being with us, and
Thank you.
I thank you viewers for watching us. Our guests tonight have been Loretta Grant and Sam Adams, the owners and publishers of the very, very interesting newspaper, the Alabama Gazette, which is published monthly in the River region and throughout our area, our viewing audience. Y'all pick up a copy and read it. It's very good reading. And we thank again y'all being with us, and we thank y'all for watching Alabama Politics. Hope you tune in again next week. Thank y'all.
This has been Alabama Politics with Steve Flowers, a production of Troy University Television. Opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of Troy University, its administration, faculty, staff, or students.